thought we were going to have a program today, and we are. Okay, in a club our size, the new and seasoned member profiles really serve an important role, I think, to help us get to know each other. And it's not just for the purpose of terrorizing new members. Our first new member presenter today is Anthony Scott. Anthony is rather new to Lakeland. He relocated from New York. He is a professional photographer and owns Anthony Scott Images. And his sponsor to our club was our other photographer, one of them, Larry Becker. So Anthony, come on up.
I'll try to make it quick. I know we're late. Good afternoon. I'm Anthony Scott, sports and portrait photographer, among other things. Okay, I'm going to diverge just a little bit because there is a point I want to make, and I will illustrate that at the end. Okay, so rewind. I was born in New York. My mom was a nurse, and my dad worked for the post office. So by all accounts, life was good until it wasn't. So one day I'm sitting at the kitchen table, and my mom walks in. She poses a question. She says, "Hey, if you had to live with just one of us, who would it be?" So I'm little, and I just said, "I don't know." She said, "Okay, think about it." So next day, she comes in, same question, same reply. "I don't know." And she says, "You need to think about it." I said, "Okay." Third day, both parents are there. So now the gravity of the situation is starting to dawn upon me, and my mom leans in and says, "Hey, you got to make a decision, like now." So I'm looking at them, and a tear started rolling down my cheek because I realized pick one, betray the other. But I had to pick, so I picked. So my mother and I went to live in this big apartment complex, like 30 buildings. And the arrangement was that my dad was going to come visit me on Sundays after church, which he did at first. So eventually he started showing up late and not at all. So from that experience, I decided that if I became a father, I would be the best dad I could so my kids didn't have to feel that. So when it was time for me to go to school, my mother walks down to the corner to the local public school. Apparently, she saw something she didn't like because she abruptly made a U-turn and enrolled me in private school way, way, way on the other side of town. So now I have one set of friends I live with and one set of friends over here, completely different set of friends. From that situation, as a result, I can hang out with anybody, totally comfortable, right? It's true. So the deal I had with my mom was she was going to finance this private education. And my end of the bargain was I had the best grades possible, which I did. So much so that it was either sixth or seventh, but in one of those grades, there was a contest in New York City among all the middle schools. It was a writing contest, and it was a joint venture between the fire department and City Hall. And the winner got a medal from the fire department, name in the paper, trip to City Hall, meet the mayor. And they picked my paper. So from that, I discovered that I had the ability to put pen to paper. Good thing. Okay. Now, around the same time, a new family moved into the apartment complex. And they had a daughter, Gina. I mean, even the name sounds Hollywood. And to the 12-year-old iteration of myself, she was incredible. She was like perfection on two legs, man. And her parents liked me. They thought I was the most well-spoken, well-mannered little kid that wore a suit and tie to school every day. They thought I was great. Gina, not so much. She paid me no mind. She wanted nothing to do with me, man. So I took a major L with Gina Go. First of many, who knew, right? So around the same time, I got my hand on a used set of weights. And saying weights is like being kind because they were plastic, full of sand, right? Nothing high tech here. So every day after school, I'd fool around with them. Now you have to understand, this predates internet, Google, YouTube, so I really had no clue, right? Right. So summer comes around, stand at the bus stop, trying to look cool, or as cool as I could look at 12, and somebody runs up and grabs me from behind. So I turn around, Gina Gold. Gina Gold! She's rubbing my arms and she's going, ooh, muscles! You kidding me right now? And then, but check it out, as she walks away, she goes, oh my goodness. I could have died right there. Gina Gold just felt me up in front of all my friends. This is the best day ever! Awesome. So from that situation, I learned that instead of going out and actively trying to get people to notice you and stuff like that, it's better to work on yourself and just be the best version of yourself, and people will naturally be attracted to you. Okay, so on to high school. So I got accepted to a really good high school. Lots of pro athletes went there, senators, stuff like that. In the interim, between time, my mom decided being a nurse no longer cut it for her. So she went back to school, became a doctor. Awesome. So I said, I want to do that. So I wanted to be a doctor. So I continued to do good in high school, and I got a scholarship to St. John's. So now I'm in St. John's University. And in the summer, I taught a intro to biology class to 8th graders who had interest in going into healthcare. And I taught that at Downstate Medical School in Brooklyn. I also did an internship in plastic surgery at Harlem Hospital because I wanted to be a cosmetic plastic surgeon. How many of you know in Harlem Hospital, they're not doing too much cosmetic plastic surgery. It's reconstructive. They're putting people back together from getting cut and all of that. So, but I from that experience, I have the utmost respect for those surgeons, man. They work so hard and they do a great service for the community. Okay, on from there. Bio major, St. John's, plastic surgeon. That's the plan. That's my plan. So I'm taking the, you're probably familiar with the Kaplan course because I had to take the MCATs. So I'm taking the Kaplan course in preparation for the MCATs. And one day I just went home and I don't know, something just snapped in my head. And I said to my mom, I don't think I want to do this. I said, do what? I said, I don't think I want to be a doctor. And she said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I think I want to make records. She's like, what? Now, her shock was not unfounded because I had never shown any aptitude for music. I wasn't like some child prodigy. I wasn't practicing 6 hours a day, nothing. But what my mom didn't know was that my entire life, in my head, I would hear complete songs, like literally. And every time I would listen to music, I would always say, oh wow, the chords from that song are the same as the chords from this song. They're just in a different key. Oh wow, the bass from that is the same as the bass from this. I was always reverse engineering music in my head. Now I haven't ever spoken about it because I just thought like everyone hears complete songs in their head. So I never said anything. So she looked at me and said, well, if that's what you want to do, then that's what you should do. But I don't know anything about that. I don't know anybody who does know anything about that. So you're on your own. Okay, let's call this chapter Starving Artist, right? So my mom had always said to me, if you want to be a doctor, you don't hang out with plumbers. Now, no disdain for plumbers. What she was saying was you associate with like-minded people, right? Sort of like mentors. So that's what I did. So I immersed myself in the music culture that was New York City at that time. Any place that people were playing music, talking about music, creating music, I was there. And again, predates the internet and smartphones and all of that, so I couldn't just watch it. You had to physically get up, go there. You had to be able to walk up to people and say, hey, I'm Anthony, da-da-da, what do you do, da-da-da. You had to cultivate relationships. You couldn't just text and watch. So that's what I did. So I saved my little pennies and put together a little demo tape, and I let some people listen to it, and they thought I had potential. And they agreed to pay for me to go to a recording studio. Now, this wasn't a real studio. It was more like a little project studio in someone's home. So I show up like my big break. I can't believe this is happening. This is it. This is it. I walk in, and I'm all full of enthusiasm. I'm like, I'm happy to be here. Hey, my name's Anthony. Da 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 da. I walk in, and the guy has a computer. Now, this was back in the day, and I said, wow, you have a computer? I want to get a computer one day. Like, what do you recommend? And the guy looks at me and says, I don't know, it's kind of complicated. What? So, what is that supposed to mean? It's too complicated for me, but not for you? Like, he knew me 30 seconds and sized me up and felt that I wasn't intelligent enough to know how to operate a computer. Can't tell you how upset that made me. But these other gentlemen had paid for the session, so I didn't make a big deal about it. I didn't say anything. But from that experience, I decided, all right, I need to know how this process works. So what I did was I went to a recording studio, a real recording studio. And I walked in, went to the manager's office. The guy's name was Carrie. I'll never forget this. And I said, hey, I'm Anthony. I'm a hard worker. I learn fast. I want to work here. And he says, okay. What school do you go to? And I went, 5 towns. And he said, okay, cool. You want to work days, nights? And I was like, that worked. Now, I didn't exactly lie because I did go to 5 towns quite often. I just wasn't enrolled there, right? So now I'm working at a real studio with artists walking past me every single day, and I'm seeing how real records are made. Now I had to mop the floor, sweep the floor, take out the garbage, clean toilets, clean the fish tank, go to the store for artists, carry keyboards from one building to the other. All of this work, I didn't care because I was learning how records were made. So now I know what I need and how to do it. I just have no money. So I went to my uncle and he loaned me $3,000 so I could buy my first drum machine. To me, that must have been like $1 million, right? Based on my financial status at that time. 6 months later, I rang his bell and I handed him an envelope. He said, what's this? I said, it's the money for the drum machine. And he looked at me and I said, I did it. Within 6 months, I had sold my first record to a major label. In fact, it was Universal. And that was the first of many, many more to come. I wound up becoming a multi-platinum record producer, working with all types of artists. I was on Billboard countless times. I was on multiple charts. And when I say on Billboard, I don't mean just on Billboard. I mean #1 spot in Billboard. I've had songs in Hollywood films. I've had songs on TV. I had song on the Oprah Winfrey Show. I had music, let me see. Oh, on a soap opera. I don't watch soaps, but I think it's One Life to Live. Whenever these two characters would see each other, my song would play. I guess it was like their theme song or something. I don't know. I never even saw it, but I get the checks. I mean, I've traveled the world and stuff like that, all based on music. I did radio in New York City. I had a weekly radio show on, and not just like college radio, like Hot 97, a major radio station. And all of that was possible because I took that left when everyone thought I would go straight, right? So now, that's just the early chapters of my life, and because of time, I can't tell more, but I won't tell you how I became a teacher, how I became a photographer, and how I wound up being a single dad with 3 kids, raising them alone, picking up, selling everything he had to come to Lakeland, Florida, where he knew no one except you guys, simply because I had a hunch that Harrison was the school that my oldest son needed to be in. So I wanted him to pursue his dreams like I pursued mine. So we're here. But the reason I told you what I told you so I could illustrate a point, and here it is. I firmly, firmly believe that all of us have a life's purpose. A life's purpose that we're perfectly suited for, right? You don't need anything else. You came equipped for this mission, and it will make you immensely happy, and that God will guide you on that path to that purpose through your feelings. Through your feelings. Perfect example, sitting right there. Dorsey stood right here where I am and said, when he was a little boy, he loved animals, right? You see how that turned out. Now, what if he had said, oh, I know a guy that knows a guy, so I'm going to work in construction because I can make a lot of money. See, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about bliss. I'm talking about true happiness. Happiness where you wake up every day with a smile on your face and you feel so fulfilled that You don't care what Gina Gold thinks, right? That's what I'm talking about. And I feel like God will put you on that path. Like, as human beings, we think we're so smart. Like, we think point A, point B, straight line, plan. I'm going to do this, finish line. I'm not going to diverge off the path. Focus. I'm locked in. I'm grinding. God doesn't work like that. He takes you more of on a meandering path, like a journey. In fact, I named my daughter Journey Scott. My oldest son, I named him Chance Scott. Now, the little one I named Blake. He's crazy. We won't talk about him, right? But here's the thing. I'm not saying that if I had been a doctor that my life would suck. I'm not saying that at all. But the first time I heard one of my songs, radio, blasting through the speakers, that was such an intensely surreal feeling that I don't think giving someone a facelift, pair. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, what I'm telling you is that all of you have a purpose, every single one of you. And if you go for it, we talk ourselves out of it because we say, but what if it doesn't work? What if I lose money? What will my family say? What if people make fun of me? So we talk ourselves out of it, but I'm living proof. I'm here, standing here, telling you that if you go for it, God will put the right people in front of you. He will put you in the right place at the right time, and he will open the doors. And it will work. Just take it from me. Now, you might say, well, Anthony, it's easy for you to say because you heard music in your head. Like, what is my life's purpose? What am I supposed to do? And I would tell you, I'll put it like this. If you found out you had 6 months to live, what would you do? Go out and do that. Thank you. That's my time.
Rich background. Our next presenter is Par Sahota. Par is the Vice President of Sales with Boring Business Systems, and he was brought into our club by Dean Boring. Par?
Anthony, that was actually a pretty interesting piece. I'm still looking for my purpose, I can tell you. I'm going to keep looking. So let me start with this journey. We all have a reason, and we come in this world for. And I think my reason is I started in a little town. Little town in India, where not very many people knew where it was. So I wanted to make sure. Oops. There we go. So this is where the little town is, if you see the map. So pretty close to China, not too far, North India. Not very many kids, thought they could be somebody and have an opportunity what I have today in the U.S. And I think that's the purpose that I'm going to speak to. By the time I get done today, you'll know what the reason is, what came out of my life so far, what I've done. So looking at this, I can assure you this. Much happier if you all like I-4 traffic. This is traffic in New Delhi. None of you want to be in there. So look at the cars. So I'm glad I'm here. So here's my learning. I needed a reason to find my purpose, and I tried a few things. And thank God for my mom. She steered me right. And the first thing I did was, against her will, I passed National Defense Academy entrance exam to join Air Force. So I wanted to be a fighter pilot. Guess what? My mom did not want me to do any of that flying whatsoever. So she said, you know what? So you're listening to two doctors today, almost doctors, I should say, almost. So she wanted to be, for me to be go to med school. And I was an exchange student from India to Russia. So, and I know there's plenty of investigations going on with Russia. I promise I had nothing to do with any of that stuff. So that's out of the way. So now, what I did is I learned how to write, read, and speak Russian fluently. So that was one piece I needed to learn, and I think that's what helped me in the U.S. And I'll go back to that point here in a second and prove it to you how. Attended medical school in St. Petersburg, not in Florida, Russia, which used to be old Leningrad. So we know the history. Now, this is my time in Russia, so of course, you've got the little map. So what you don't see there is me studying, right? So me enjoying the life and taking pictures. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I did not finish the medical school. Could it be? So, you know, this is where life gets somewhat serious. It is, and I believe this to be true to my heart, that once in a lifetime opportunity to move to U.S. And some of us, and I hear plenty, where we take it for granted, what we have here in the country. And I think I'm a living example of that piece, that this is still, I can tell you, land of opportunity. Moved to U.S. in 95, 20 years old, wanted to do everything, wanted to learn everything, away from med school, going into trying to figure out your own way, own purpose, right? And I know coming to America, big movie in '88, had nothing to do with what happened in '95 with me. So here's the part. The best way for me to learn English, and when I say English would be, of course, I knew my whole schooling was done in English, to be able to speak every little word the way everybody else here spoke, right? So best place to watch TV. The best thing to do. 2 jobs, in the morning and in the afternoon, coming home at 11. And there used to be a channel called, I'm not sure if it's still on, Nick at Night. How many of us? Raise your hand, please. Nick at Night. Okay. So that being said, who remembers these shows? Happy Days? Favorites, right? I Dream of Jeannie? Oh my gosh, I love her, for sure. So, here's the problem. Here's the problem. That I was learning everything. I thought in 1995 that was what was happening in U.S. then. Okay? So, a 20-year-old kid, first 3 months here and trying to figure his life out. So I thought I was going back to work and discussing these shows and saying, trying to be cool like you, right? So here I am. Hey, did you watch that show last night? What I forgot was that the rest of the world in U.S. was watching this, Melrose Place. So slowly I started getting to that point, but I can tell you, those shows helped a whole lot for me to learn. But that was the fun part of just making that transition. Now looking at this, this is where it gets somewhat tricky, away from finding my purpose. I can tell you my family is my purpose. And I do everything and anything for my family. So if I'm standing here and doing anything in my life, it's because of them. So lucky enough to marry a beautiful young lady out of India, and I know it says on there in 2000, and I know it also says arranged marriage. So has worked 18 years with her for that long. Now, of course, those 2 kids, you're like, hang on, Par, 18 years, and the kids look a little small. I mean, what's going on here with their age, right? So the biggest part to me, those kids are always going to be kids, and I love those pictures because that's what I want to remember and cherish every single day. I can tell you, they are troublemakers when they grow up. So my daughter, she's 9 now. She goes to McKeel here locally, and my son actually goes to IB in Bartow. Pretty smart kid. Definitely didn't get it from me. So I'm pretty sure Mom had something to do with it. So I have a feeling what I or Anthony didn't finish, I'm hoping my son will. So what I mean by that is, smart kid wants to be a neurosurgeon. So he is actually going to Cornell for some summer courses this summer, and he's in 10th grade. So he's definitely doing things way better than I ever dreamed of doing. So lucky to have him as my son. So now, life changed in the last 3 or 4 months for me. This is where it gets somewhat exciting. because you almost feel like what you have in life or what you had before, and it comes back to you again. And this is what it is. The newest addition to my family, 4-month-old baby boy, right? How exciting is that? Carol's excited about it. I was so too. I was thinking the same thing. Because here is that little boy. So, I can tell you, I feel every day the pain. I mean, you know, what you went through, pain, the laughter, the fun, all of it at the same time. To be able to go through it, enjoy the time, basically the same way I did with my kid. So he is one of ours. So, now, you know, enough about the part, what I have done in my life, and I think nothing is enough until I can do something for somebody else, right? And I think that's one of the reasons. Everybody's got a reason why they're here. So I have few, and one is opportunity to serve. The opportunity to serve, which is important for me because I think this has given me the platform to be able to do things, which is I can do things for others, and I think that goes a long ways for us. And also personal growth, and just watching and meeting people here to be able to discuss and look at the things you've done in your life and learn from it. And also just being a good citizen and having an ethical environment, and I think that's what we stand for. Our four-way test does attest to that. So now, before I go say those few words right there, there's a special person here I would like to thank. And this person has been a role model, and I can tell you, I've done this, I've worked for a global company, but this guy has really become my role model in a way where I understand what community service means, what a serving leader means, and what servicing and being part of a community means. And that is, and we'd like to have him up. Dean Boring, please get up for a second. So I wouldn't be here without him. I can tell you, he's the one who supported me to be here in this gathering and part of this group, special group, I should say. And I think I said it earlier. I want to say it one more time because I don't think we say enough of it. For me, coming to U.S. was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I can tell you, this is still the land of opportunity. So, that's the part which we forget sometimes. And again, it's an honor to be part of this great serving group and organization. So again, thank you for having me.